It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
One thing that normally doesn't hold up in game design is when a company takes a joke and runs with it and actually makes a game from that joke. And so today we're going to be taking a look at Deckbuilding, the deck building game. Get it? So, does this one break that trend of these sort of tongue-in-cheek, silly endeavors being not so good? Let's find out. I'm going to give you an overview here, and then I'll tell you what I think of this little two-player game, Deckbuilding. Here's the game set up at the beginning. You put some of these stain chips in the center of the table. There are two equal stacks of cards. And each player is going to start the game with these three cards in their hand. The idea is to build the best deck. And you are going to be getting points for doing that. In a nutshell, at the end of the game, you are going to score the screws that are visible here on the cards for every piece of deck, every type of wood, okay? And you are going to score that many screws multiplied by how many of that same kind of card you have in a big group. And so this card alone at the end of the game is going to be 2 points times one card, 2. This card put next to it means 1, 2, 3, 4 points times 2. So these are both together worth 8 victory points. That's basically it. You're going to keep going until someone is completely out of cards or one of these stacks is over. But for a deck to be able to score, you cannot just go boom, boom, boom and play these 3 cards out. You need to have at least 2 planks and at least 2 railing. So, what can you do on your turn? On your turn, you have 3 options. You can buy, you can build, or you can stain. To buy is very simple. These are the costs of the cards. You are going to be spending the screws on the ones you're holding to buy these. So 2 screws. I want to buy this card. I take it. It's a railing. I flip it. Put it in my discard pile. That's 1 action. And on my turn, I get 2 actions. So that's the first one, buying. Second action, I could obviously buy again, okay, for my second action. But the second possible action is I can build. I can put a card in front of me, or I can build in front of my opponent. I can even build over something my opponent has built. Let's say they already had this. I can build this over it as long as the card has not been stained. How do you stain a card? Very simple. That is the third option on your turn. You can stain a card. And that takes an action. You take one of these. You put it on the card. It is stained wood. You cannot mess with it anymore. You can stain a single card like this. You can stain 2 cards by doing this. Or you could stain 4 cards. Let me just grab one here. By doing, obviously, that. And that protects all 4. Each one of those still takes only a single action, okay? So you can do that. And so the game flows very quickly. It's about 5-10 minutes. And so I would have bought that card. Second action, let's do this. I would spend both of these and buy this card. And that's railing. As you can see, the railing comes in 2 types. Comes in 3s, the ornate railing, and in 2s, they score the same way. If you have railing together of the same type anyway, then it multiplies. And when you play railing, you just do it like that. And so you can, always have railing next to the planks of the floor like so, never like that, obviously. And you continue playing that way, buying cards, adding them to your deck, playing them out. And here we have the one card that is different from everything else, the stairs. The way the stairs work is next to railing, they score just like the railing. But the other thing you can do with them is on your turn you can take stairs, put them at the bottom of one of the piles, and on that turn you have 3 actions instead of 2. And for a game this quick, that does make a difference because you can kind of rush your opponent. or you can buy out a deck before they're ready for that to happen, which triggers the end of the game. So that's really it. You make sets, you score them, you see who has the most points, and that player is the winner of deck building. There's a couple of things that I think really work for this game. For one, it's about 15 minutes. It's perfect. It's a great little filler for 2. Second, the cards are really more like tiles, and they're very well constructed. So I like that. I like the components in the game. They're few, but they're well done. And I think the game mechanisms, and especially the scoring, are clever. They're not original, but they're well implemented, and they make sense. They're cool. They work well, you know? And so while I won't go out of my way and say, oh my goodness, you guys have to check out deck building in the deck building game, it is such an amazing game, I will say this is not a bad game, and I've enjoyed my plays of it. It's mean, so be aware of that. If you want to get this to play with someone that doesn't necessarily like confrontational games, this might not be the best choice. It is jerky. You can obviously play on other people and mess them up. The game has a nice rhythm to it. I like the fact that you can end the game by running out a deck or running out of cards yourself. And so that's cool. I like how I can rush the end by playing everything out I have before you have a chance to sort of catch up to me, while you're still buying, basically. So it's got a good cadence to it. The whole package is, again, not mind-blowing, but a good little design. I was happy to play it. I think if you are looking for a filler 2-player game, this is one you could throw in your pocket, take just about anywhere. You could play this at a coffee house. You can play this just about anywhere. It's a nice little package. I like it. So, deck building, the deck building game. Not a glowing recommendation, but a recommendation nonetheless. Check this one out. Deck building.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.